All right, today is going to be immunity, part 1. Welcome to March 1st. All right, guys, this world can be a very scary world because there are an infinite number of things, isms that want to kill you. Their nature is population control. This is how a lot of different other types of organisms, large organisms, are able to keep their numbers under control, is that there are infectious agents, infectious disease that keep their numbers contained, and it prevents overpopulation. So our environment, no matter where you are on Earth, are populated by pathogens. During the last 2 years, we've been dealing with the new virus, coronavirus. It seems like we're finally starting to get it behind us. During the last 2 years, there was a government doctor. He was an infectious disease expert. He's called a pathologist. His name was Dr. Fauci. No one knew who he was, and then everybody started to hear what he was. And whatever your stance is on him or not, fact is he is a pathologist. And a pathologist is a doctor who studies pathogens and their nature and their ability and their tendencies. A pathogen is a disease-causing agent. This is going to be one of many terms you'll get over the next 3 classes. Now, I can think of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different pathogens. A pathogen is a disease-causing agent. This is different than things like a carcinogen. Like, you're not going to say the chemicals in cigarettes is a pathogen. They don't promote and propagate disease on a natural level. Those are going to be things like poisons and toxins. Radiation also fits in that. So would any of you happen to tell me in any particular order an example of what an actual pathogen could be? A fungus. That's a good place to start. Is a fungus prokaryotic or eukaryotic? It is eukaryotic. How does a fungus get its nutrition? Is it autotrophic or heterotrophic? It is heterotrophic. What are you guys? Are you guys autotrophic or heterotrophic? Yeah, so you actually have a lot in common with a fungus. But when you want food, you shovel food into your face holes. You call that eating. How does a fungus get nutrition? You're on the right track. You said breaks down, but there's a better word than that. When my dog died in middle school, we put his body in the backyard, and 2 weeks later, there were a bunch of mushrooms over his body. What were the mushrooms doing to his body? Decomposers, right? They're decomposers. There are most fungi are pretty good, like fungi. They're part of the circle of life, like Mufasa was teaching Simba. When we die, our bodies become the grass, and the antelope eat the grass, Simba, and now you must be king. Well, some fungi do get a bad rap. There is infectious fungi, pathogenic fungi. There's ringworm. I remember back in the summer of 2015 or 16, it rained in Tampa for every day in July. It was insane. And I lived in Hyde Park back then. I would see kids playing in the flooded streets, which Hyde Park tends to do. And I just think to myself, they're going to get ringworm, because why do you think the streets are flooding? The sewers are backed up. They're playing in They're playing in raw sewage. Another one is athlete's foot, where you have this fungus that actually breaks down your flesh mostly in between your toes, where it's nice and warm and damp and dark while you're alive. That doesn't feel good. Don't ever walk around a locker room or a gym barefoot. Oh no. So there's another type of fungus called Candida, which grows on your tongue. It's pretty nasty. It's a big sign that you have AIDS, because if you AIDS is when you have no more immune system. If you did have an immune system, you wouldn't be growing a fungus on your tongue. but it's called oral thrush. Thrush is fungus. All right. If you want to get rid of fungus, you have to have a fungicide to help you out, like athlete's foot. You got tufactin, tenactin. That's a fungicide. Have any spring break's coming up in a few weeks? Have any of you ever gone out in the sun? You get this little white splotches on your skin. That's a fungus. That's a fungus. Put some head and shoulders on your body when you're in the shower. Let it sit there for a few minutes and repeat until it's all gone. Head and shoulders has zinc, and zinc kills fungus. So fun fact. All right, 1 down, 4 to go. What else is there out there that could make us sick besides a fungus? A virus. Is a virus alive? No, it is not alive. A virus is not an organism. It is not an organism. People may like to refer to it as an organism. It is not an organism. And so if it's an organism, is it ever really alive or die? No. When it is alive, alive, quote unquote, we say it's viable. And when it is no longer alive, air quotes, it's not viable. It's no longer viable. A virus is known as an obligate parasite. It is not made of cells, and it cannot reproduce on its own. It must have a host. That's why it's called an obligate, like it is obligated. Nikita is obligated to come to 8th period. He doesn't have a choice. He has to come. Well, a virus has no choice but to be a parasite. It can't survive without a host. And it is not alive. It is not made of cells. I want to give you guys an idea. I don't know if you fully grasp this. You don't need to draw this. Let's say this is the smallest cell in nature. This is a prokaryote. You don't need to draw this. This is the smallest prokaryotic organism in the world. You need a microscope to see it. That's one cell. This is a virus, that little red dot. That's the size difference. They are not made of cells, and they must have a host to reproduce, which means they're not alive. They don't even have a scientific name. Like your scientific name is Homo sapien. An alligator's scientific name is Alligator mississippiensis. Bacteria are alive. Fungi are alive. Viruses, no, they're not alive. They don't have a scientific name. All right, 2 down, 3 to go. What else you got? Bacteria. What type of cell is a bacteria? Prokaryotic. These little organisms are extremely efficient. They are the first life forms on Earth, and they're still around today, which goes to show you they're doing something right, because whenever something isn't working, nature gets rid of it. Most bacteria are good. There's anthrax in the mud. When you walk outside after it's rained and you just smell the stinky mud, that's bacteria. When you smell someone passing gas, or they didn't leave the fan on in the bathroom after using it, after they have to go, what did they say in that article? What was the British euphemism for? Yeah, drop his kids off at the pool. You're like, oh man, dude, it stinks in here. Can you turn the fan, close the door? That's bacteria making that smell. Bad breath, bacteria. You have more bacteria that lives in your body than there are your own cells, and it's a 10-to-1 ratio. If there were 1 trillion cells in your body, there's 100 trillion bacteria. Most bacteria are good. Some get a bad rap. You got things like Staphylococcus aureus, that's a staph infection. Streptococcus pneumoniae, strep throat. Leprosy, flesh-eating bacteria. Those are all bacteria. What do we use to fight off bacteria? Antibiotics. We'll get to that later. Okay. What's another type of pathogen? Parasites. We saw a lot of them before playing this video. Worms, ticks, fleas, lice, you name it. These are actual animals. And to give you an idea of scale, if a human were the size of a bacteria, a parasite is the size of Godzilla. It's They're massive. You don't need a microscope to see a parasite. We don't often hear a lot about parasites in this country because we have world-class medicine, world-class pharmaceuticals. It's a first world country. But if you go to like Nigeria or Panama or lesser countries that have not as many resources as this country does, then you are more likely to come in contact with parasites. In fact, the story I showed you last week, the guy that went to Vietnam in his 20s, he brought back a phyllorytic worm inside of him, which clogged up his lymphatic system. All right, and the last one. I say that no one will get this. I had one person in 5th, one person in 7th get it. The last one. It's what the brain-eating amoeba was. You know this, Kylie? It's that kingdom in AP Bio that we hardly ever talk about. Nikita, you were in AP Bio. Yeah, look at you like, oh man, I don't know it. It's an amoeba.
I guess.
Yeah,
Protists.
you are correct.
Yeah.
Protists. Protists are unicellular eukaryotes. I had someone earlier today ask, how can it be a eukaryote if it's unicellular? Good question. Does being one cell differentiate a prokaryote from a eukaryote? No. What makes a prokaryote different from a eukaryote? Yeah. A eukaryote has nuclei and organelles. So that brain-eating amoeba is a protist. All right. So these are the 5 types of pathogens that we generally deal with in medicine and in pathology. Okay. Well, I know this has been kind of a scary class so far, but let's kind of get on the happy train. Our bodies have evolved an easy means of identifying any pathogenic agent. Here's the one rule that your immune system lives by. If you're not with us, you're against us. It's pretty simple. You guys got a taste of this when we did blood typing. If Nathaniel got in a car accident, Mackenzie's going to help him. Oh my gosh, my classmate, he's hurt. He needs my help. Her heart's in the right place. She means well. Good for her. But if it's not a compatible match, all that Nathaniel's body's going to do is reject it. It's going to fight against it. That's why you have to have compatibility. Needless to say, a worm is not supposed to be in your body. So your immune system is going to fight it. A virus is not supposed to be in your body. Your immune system is going to fight it. We have 2 branches of immunity, and they work together to resist disease. The first branch is called your innate defense. I want you guys to understand what the word innate means. I'm going to put it in a few sentences for you so it really gets through your head. When a baby sea turtle is born, it hatches out of its shell, it crawls along the sand. If it makes it to the beach, it swims away. Did anything teach this baby sea turtle how to swim? No. It swims minutes after it was born. The ability to swim is innate. It is natural. It doesn't have to go to training. It doesn't have to go to school. It doesn't have to read a manual. It just knows. It knows what to do. This branch of your immune system is also called your non-specific defense. I want to give you guys an analogy that might be more relatable to you for you to understand this. Vaping in high school is not a plant high school issue. It is an every school issue. It's not just here, it's everywhere. And you guys have likely seen me or heard me breaking boys up in the bathroom when they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing. It's a shame that it's come to that, but it has come to that. Now, if I were to walk into the bathroom and I saw someone doing something that we're not supposed to be doing, what do I care about? Do I care about their identity, or do I care about them doing something they shouldn't be doing? What do you think, Sebastian? Yeah. Everybody that I've encountered, I don't know their name. And I don't care about their name. I don't care what grade they're in. I don't care their ethnicity. I don't care. The point is they're doing something they shouldn't be doing. This branch of your immune system, it doesn't care what type of virus you are. It doesn't care what type of bacteria you are. It doesn't care. All it cares about is that this thing is in the body and it shouldn't be here. So I didn't go to vapor catching school 101. It's common sense. Stop doing what shouldn't be done. So this part of your immune system is not the heavy hitters. These are like just your general police officers. There's going to be a branch of your immune system that's going to be like the Navy SEALs, and we'll get to them. This is not them. This branch of your immune system is always prepared. And it doesn't discriminate. You know, Sebastian, you're a great guy. I've had you for 2 years now. If you were in there doing something you wouldn't be doing, I don't care. I don't care if I knew you or if I didn't know you. What I care about is that there's someone in the bathroom that's doing something they shouldn't be doing. It sucks, but it is what it is. I don't care about your identity. Your name could be Rumpelstiltskin. I don't care. It responds within minutes. Before I had those pouches up there as you guys walk out of here, if I found a kid using a phone in the classroom, if Lance was using it, I'd say, Lance, hand it over. It's like, man, you always taking my phone. It's like, Lance, it's not a person. You could have been anybody. You could have been anybody. You just had your phone out. Bad move. So it is nothing personal. Your immune system is going to kill whatever shouldn't be in there. And that's your innate defense. Now, there are two parts or two lines of defense in your innate defense. The first line of defense is going to be barriers. This includes skin. It includes mucus, membranes, and secretions. If the first line fails, you have a second line of innate defense. The second line is going to be innate internal defense. You guys, I'm sure a lot of you may have gone to Gasparilla. There was a lot of police presence to make sure everything was okay and no one was being a big jerk. If Sebastian, who's really nice and wouldn't do this, but if he was walking around and he was pushing people over and he was flipping over concession stands and he was smacking small children on the head, his name could be anybody. The cops don't say, hey, everybody, that's Sebastian. No, they're going to go, stop that guy. That's innate. This part of your immune system doesn't care what you are. It doesn't care who you are. This includes phagocytes, which are white blood cells that consume foreign material, antimicrobial proteins, Sebastian, you're gonna be featured a lot in this video. Natural killer cells. Be sure you play it back for your parents. And you have the inflammatory response. Sometimes this second line of defense fails. It's not good enough. It's not fast enough. It's not strong enough. And so you do have one more. This is the one we'll have to wait until Friday, but I'll give you a little teaser of it today. Give you guys a moment to catch up. Do any of you know what SEAL Team 6 is famous for? Lance? They killed Osama bin Laden, the mastermind behind the September 11th terrorist attacks. The reason I bring that up is that the Navy SEALs are like the bad of the bad. They are not to be messed with. And when they went into Pakistan that night, they had a target. They walked past Mackenzie, they walked past Emma. They don't care about them. They're going for a target. And that's this third line of defense. Before I get to the third line, it's your second branch. So let's do that first. The second branch is called your adaptive defense. This part of your immune system learns. It gets better. People that were opposed to getting vaccines this past year would say, some of them would say, I had COVID, now I have natural immunity. Did they have natural immunity before they got sick? No, it happens after. Your immune system is a continuous work in progress. This is also called specific defense. So let's say Gasparilla, the cops say, all right, guys, we're looking for Sebastian. Here's his picture. There's 100,000 people here. We're looking for one. That is specific. So this portion does discriminate. This means that it does target specific diseases. That's why it's called specific defense. It is unfortunately slower, but it is adaptable. That means that it can get better, and it can get better, and it can get better. So this is your third line. These are called lymphocytes. These are the bounty hunters. This is the Mandalorian. This is the US Marines. I mean, this is the bad of the bad. And you have two types. You have B cells and you have T cells. We'll get into those on Friday. I just want to kind of give you that little teaser. If this line fails, you're done. You don't have a fourth line. Interestingly enough, HIV was really, really scary in the 80s. I mean, people had no idea what it was. It was ask your parents, what was it? What was the HIV scare like in the 80s? It was like, it was freaky. They had no answer for it. The reason why HIV kills you is because it wipes out these. You don't need to write this. Your T cells. Your T cells is like the head of the snake. The snake is your immune system. If you cut off the head, the snake dies. If you destroy the T cells, you have no immune system. And that's what HIV would actually infect and kill. So if you have no more T cells, you have no more immune system. All right, let's briefly talk about your surface barriers, and then we'll call it a day, okay? Alex, what's the best way of not being robbed, like in your house? Yeah. Lock your doors. Keep the invaders out. The best way to not get infected is to not let an infection in. Your first line is your skin. So long as your skin is unbroken, you're going to be fine from almost anything that nature can dish out. Now, I would be lying if I told you that there's nothing in nature that attacks skin. There are infectious diseases that specifically target your skin, but for the most part, if your skin is intact, you have no cuts, you have no scrapes, you're fine. Those people that got neck fasciitis, they went into the water with a cut, or they got a cut while they were in the water. The other, or excuse me, keratin is resistant to most bacterial enzymes. Your keratin is like armor, and bacteria really can't get through that. But you guys do have some soft spots, which gets me to my second point. And this is where we'll finish up. Your mucous membranes. There are areas of your body that are exposed to the outside world that lead to the inside of your body. A mucous membrane lines all body cavities that open to the exterior world. And to finish off today's class, I want to see if you can use your anatomical expertise and tell me what 4 organ systems have openings to the outside world. And don't say ears and eyes, because your ears and eyes are dead ends. You have eye sockets and you have ear sockets, but they don't go all the way inside. So can you tell me what systems go all the way in? Digestive, your mouth and your anus. Urinary, your urethra. Reproductive, vagina, and urethra in males. Respiratory, your mouth and your nose. I want to show you one last image here. Oh, Kaylin. Check this out. This is a microscopic image. Stop moving around. This is a microscopic image of ciliated hair in your upper respiratory tract. Whenever you are breathing, and I'm sorry to say, you guys breathe in a lot of crap. If you don't believe me, go to that house in your room where the light shines just right and you'll see dust and everything just kind of floating in the air. That goes in you. Good thing is this catches most of it. That yellow stuff is bacteria. That noodly looking stuff is cilia in your upper respiratory tract. Whenever you get pollen or dust or dander, dog hair, or something worse like bacteria in your upper respiratory tract, most of it gets caught in this cilia, and you do this. Out, left the body, or out the body. So it gets caught in your sinuses, but you eject it out. Not all of it does. And let's say you actually swallowed some pollen, swallow some bacteria, it goes into your stomach. How could it die there? Your stomach acid will hopefully kill it, but it doesn't always. And that's where we'll stop for now.